So we're locked in right now to Venezuela after President Trump executed the capture of the vicious dictator Nicolas Maduro and his wife. And right on cue, Democrats are defending the dictator Maduro as Trump derangement syndrome hits new lows. And so we have that plus what happens next. Stay locked in. As always, guys, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Let me know you love the video. Subscribe to the channel for more and share this video. That way more people see what's really going on.
Why did you make the decision to take out Maduro this morning? And what was Maduro doing when our guys came in on him?
So we were going to do this 4 days ago, but the weather was not perfect. The weather has to be perfect. And we had just the perfect weather. We had, very good. A little bit few more clouds than we thought, but it was good. We waited 4 days. We were going to do this 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago. And then all of a sudden it opened up and we said go. And I'll tell you, it was just amazing. And what was he doing? He was in a very highly guarded, like a fortress, actually. He was in a fortress. We're losing 300,000 people a year. We don't lose that much in a war, okay, if you look. And we had to do it. But he was in a house that was more like a fortress than a house. It had steel doors. It had what they call a safety space where it's, solid steel all around. He didn't get that space closed. He was trying to get into it, but he got bum rushed so fast that he didn't get into that. We were prepared. We had...
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military troops to provide?
Team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro. And right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough, the people that got thrown out of Venezuela that are now in the United States, and frankly, some want to stay and some probably want to go back.
So can multiple things be true at the same time? Yeah, I believe so. And so this is all about, yes, the oil. We just heard the president speak on that. And Venezuela has some of the largest oil reserves on the planet. But this isn't just the Venezuela story. This is also a geopolitical move because it also is a blow to China and Russia, who have used Venezuela as a leverage point in the region. But then at the same time, this also now gives the people of Venezuela an opportunity to turn things around over there. And despite the legacy media trying to spin this like it's some controversial overreach or power grab, the people in Venezuela are happy. They feel like they've been freed from a dictator. Thousands of Venezuelans around the world have taken to the streets to celebrate the fall of Nicolas Maduro. Real quick. And so you just see the celebrations. Wow.
I came in this country when I was 10 years old, and ever since I was born, every single person in power of the country has abused us and abused of their power. We have been living in a dictatorship for about 20 years. So I can tell you, this feels like a breath of fresh air.
For all my Americans on Trump for bombing Venezuela, let me tell you, I am Trump's #1 hater. I am also Venezuelan, and let me tell you, for all of you that are commenting on social media, oh my god, no war, we didn't sign for this, oh my god, poor people, they must be so terrified. Let me tell you, every single Venezuelan that is not working for the government, the dictatorship that has been in place for more than 25 years, we are stoked. we are happy. Even the people that are currently still in Venezuela, everyone's happy about this. So can you please just educate yourself and stop spreading this bull narrative that, oh my God, poor people, like, they must be so scared. No, we're not scared.
Okay, as a Venezuelan American, I got some shit to say. My family, my parents, my sister, my extended family, all lost everything. Their work, their savings, their investments, gone. Wiped out by a narco-dictatorship that has held Venezuela in a death grip for over 25 years. And what happened to my family has happened to millions, and yes, millions. The Venezuelan exodus is the second largest displacement crisis on earth after Syria. This is not just a tragedy. It is one of the great humanitarian disasters of our time. But the suffering doesn't end there. This regime has jailed hundreds of political prisoners. Thousands have been murdered simply for speaking out. More than a third of the population has fled. 1/3. Not for better opportunities or for the American dream, but to survive, to live, because staying often means death. And while the world may see Venezuela as a collapsed state, what it is in reality is an occupied one. Our territory, our natural resources, and our institutions have been overrun by hostile foreign powers. Iranian militias, Chinese corporations, Russian intelligence, all exploiting our country with impunity. Venezuela is no longer just a local crisis. It is now a geopolitical threat that endangers the entire Western Hemisphere.
So let's isolate one piece of this that the media keeps pretending doesn't exist: the Monroe Doctrine. Now, the Monroe Doctrine, I looked this up and this was pretty interesting. This is not just some random idea. This is one of the oldest pillars of U.S. foreign policy, going back over 200 years. And the core principle is simple. Foreign adversaries, listen to this, foreign adversaries do not get to establish power, influence, or control in Western hemispheres, period. The doctrine was originally about European empires, and later it was about the Soviet Union. But today, this is about Russia and China. And that is exactly why Venezuela matters. You got a country sitting on massive reserves, run by a dictator, propped up by foreign rivals who are happy to park money, military cooperation, and intelligence assets right off of America's coast. From a Monroe Doctrine perspective, this wasn't optional, it was inevitable. Now, here's where legacy media loses the plot. They frame this as a sudden power grab or imperial overreach. You'll hear that a lot in the coming days. But in reality, this is the United States doing what it has always said it would do when rival powers push too far into the region. And you don't have to like Trump or agree with all his tactics in order to understand that. Nonetheless, the legacy media has found some way to agree with the fascist dictator of another country rather than support and be America first. Take a listen.
A lot of the policies that we have put in place has kind of helped lead the devastation in Venezuela, and we've sort of set the stage for where we are arriving today. This particular bullying and the use of sanctions to eventually intervene and make regime change really does not help the people of countries like Venezuela, and it certainly does not help, and it's not in the interest of the United States.
As a democratic socialist, I'm wondering if, what are your thoughts on the Venezuelan crisis that's happening right now, and if you would denounce the Maduro regime?
Yeah, so I think that this is absolutely a complex issue. I think it's important that that we approach this very carefully. One, I'm myself, just like anyone else, who is absolutely concerned with the humanitarian crisis that's happening. And I think it's important that any solution that we have centers the Venezuelan people and centers the democracy of Venezuelan people first. I am very concerned about U.S. interventionism in Venezuela, and I oppose it.
Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Becca Balint of Vermont. Congresswoman Balint, thank you very much for coming to the weekend. Just give us your initial thoughts on the action that took place in the early morning hours in Caracas today.
Good morning, Jonathan. Look, I'm angry on behalf of Americans, on behalf of Congress, and most importantly, on behalf of our service members who were put in harm's way. And this was not necessary. This was not legal. And we saw this coming. This has been the plan the entire time. It was never about narco drug trafficking. This was about oil. This was about minerals. This was about regime change. There is no legal justification for what has happened. I'm outraged that nobody in Congress was briefed, including our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, that the committees of jurisdiction received no briefing. And this is dangerous, not just because of what this will mean for Venezuela in the region. It matters for our moral standing in the world. What does this mean for Taiwan, that we believe that we can go in and do regime change, that we can arrest a leader and kidnap them essentially and drag them to the United States? What does that mean for Ukraine? This matters not just in this instance, but what it means globally. And this is not what Americans want. They voted for this president in part because he said he was not interested in more foreign wars. And this runs completely counter to what he ran on. And I'm angry. You can hear it in my voice, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what it looks like for Trump derangement syndrome to fully kick in. Because yeah, this is about the oil. And yes, this is also about keeping China and Russia at bay. But here's the part that Democrats do not want to acknowledge. The people on the ground, the Venezuelan people, they love this. They're celebrating. They're rejoicing. And why? Because a real dictator has been removed from power. Someone who lost an election and instead of conceding, ignored the rules once they no longer benefited him.
What is your thought on what you just heard from the congressman? And how often do you hear the phrase blood for oil in Venezuela?
Joe, thank you for that question, because it's a question that we absolutely need to reframe here. And I am certain that every Venezuelan will support what I'm about to say. This is not blood for oil, and this is not about regime change. We voted these people out legitimately last year. We voted for Maria Corina Machado and her running mate, Edmundo González Urrutia, and Nicolas Maduro stole the election, didn't have proof for it, so he's essentially a dictator. For 25 years, he has been torturing, imprisoning people, leading to the largest refugee crisis practically in the world, definitely in our hemisphere. 8 million Venezuelans have left, which has provoked refugee crisis and immigration crises all over the Americas, including in the United States.
Exactly. And this is where the derangement and the hypocrisy of the left becomes impossible to ignore. Because on one hand, they want to trash Trump over immigration enforcement. They'll call it cruel, inhumane. How dare you? All of that. Just for enforcing the law on the books. But on the other hand, look at what they're admitting without saying it out loud. A lot of the same people coming here illegally are fleeing countries that are unstable, corrupt, authoritarian, in this case, a dictatorship. Let's face it, that's reality. And so now when Trump takes action that removes that kind of regime and creates the possibility, the opportunity for the Venezuelans to rebuild, restore order, and to move towards real democracy, you would think those same people who claim to care so much about human rights and compassion would at least acknowledge the benefit to the people living under that system, right? But they don't. They're still angry. Still bothered, still trying to spin it as a problem, not because it's bad for Venezuelans, no, but because Trump did it. And so check this out. Communists have taken over Times Square in New York City, demanding the release of Maduro and calling for a revolution. Venezuelans are literally celebrating their freedom while these brain-dead idiots cheer for a narco-terrorist. Take a listen.
the U.S. launched a massive criminal bombing campaign on Venezuela. This war has nothing to do with drug trafficking. If the U.S. were interested in ending drug trafficking, they would talk to their allies in Peru. No more wars for empire! No more! Venezuela! Stop bombing Venezuela! Stop bombing Venezuela!
And so while critics are over here losing their mind, the people who actually had to live under the regime are saying, thank you, President Trump. Thank you, America.
I'm waiting for this day. It's a special. Thanks, President Trump. Of course, thanks. Oh my God, this is a special day. I am.
Thank you, President Trump.
Very excited. I am very happy. It's amazing. It's amazing.
And so the question of, is this putting America first? If you want to have that debate, that's fine. Now, I believe that it is. I believe this is chess, not checkers, as I said before. But if you want to have that debate, that conversation, that's a conversation that you can have. But the idea that somehow removing a dictator who lost an election from power, who is buddying up and getting quite friendly with our foreign adversaries, I think that's a win for the U.S. whenever we can make sure that we keep our shores safe from those who would like to see or do harm to us in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
In the following points, Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
we should make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when he tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States.
All right. And so I said this from the jump. This decision comes down to three things. First, oil. This is about securing and controlling Venezuela's massive oil reserves. Let's not dance around it. They're sitting on the largest proven reserves in the world. Second, geopolitics. This is also about checking China and Russia. Why would we allow two rival powers to tighten their grip on a major energy supply, especially with sanctions already in place? That's backwards. If sanctions mean anything, you don't leave the back door open for enemies to benefit. You shut it down. And this is a way of doing that. Third, the Venezuelan people. They're going to welcome this because Venezuela used to be one of the wealthiest countries on earth. And now it's being run into the ground. Inflation through the roof, poverty everywhere, and a system that strangled the country. This gives them a real chance to at least reset and rebuild. Now, what will those results be? That comes down to execution, and we'll see that in the future. But at least the possibility is back on the table. And while all of this is unfolding, take a look at the Democrats. They're doing mental gymnastics right about now because they want to condemn the president. But they don't want to look like they're defending a dictator. Yet, that's exactly what it starts to sound like. So at the end of the day, you got to decide. Do you understand why this move was made? I do. Every decision isn't going to be popular. That's leadership. President Trump signed up to make the hard calls and take the heat, the backlash, and the criticism that comes with it. But now let me hear from you. Drop your comments down below. I appreciate when you guys chime in. Don't forget, smash that thumbs up. Let me know you love the video. Subscribe to the channel for more. And as always, until next time.